When playing Terraria's Calamity mod, deciding what class to pick can often be a challenging task for new and returning players, as Calamity is vastly different than vanilla, adding 26 bosses, over 2,500 additional items, and a whole new class to the base game, which is why we are determining the strengths and weaknesses of every class as well as comparing their defensive and damage stats. When comparing Calamity classes, there are many other factors than damage and defense that can influence what makes a class good or bad, like life regeneration or damage resistance. However, these stats vary a lot throughout the game and are hard to accurately compare. So in this video, we will be focusing on damage and defensive stats and we'll be rating every class on their strength, difficulty, and how fun they are to play. The melee class is Calamity's most popular class due to its high defense while still having an insane damage output. From my testing, melee consistently carries the best defense when comparing it to other classes throughout the game, and stays around the second or third place for damage, only being beaten by Summoner and occasionally Rogue. Though, where the melee class really shines is around the pre-Plantera and pre-Golem stage, due to weapons like the Biome Blade and Arc of the Ancients. While this class is very strong throughout the game, some weak points are the lunar events in the pre-Moonlord stages of the game, due to the poor performing weapons at those stages. Another weak point for melee is during the endgame, as it offers the worst damage stats of any class while still having similar defense to other classes. While melee is one of the stronger classes in Terraria, its biggest weakness is easily its range. This problem is most noticeable in pre-hard mode, as bosses such as Skeletron or Perforators are difficult to damage with most melee weapons. This becomes less of a problem throughout the game as you start to obtain weapons that can shoot projectiles. However, melee projectiles are slower and harder to get hits with, making them still difficult to use when fighting faster bosses. I think Calamity's melee class is also an extremely fun class to play thanks to the easy progression and extremely fun and unique weapons and armor you get to use throughout the game, making it the perfect class for new and returning players, or if you just want to have a more chill playthrough. Overall, I'd rate it a 9 out of 10 for strength, 4 out of 10 for difficulty, and a 7 out of 10 for enjoyment. Calamity's magic class is a very unique class due to the use of the mana bar being a crucial feature of the class. Keeping a close eye on your mana bar can be the difference between winning and losing a boss fight, making this class use a lot more focus and skill to effectively use. It's known for having relatively low defense while still having decent damage. Compared to other classes, its defense is usually in the 3rd or 4th place, while its damage averages around the 4th or 5th place. Although it's never the best class for damage, the magic class really shines in early stages of the game, having respectable damage and defense compared to other classes. While the magic class may not seem great, its biggest strength is the ability to consistently hit bosses, as the majority of its weapons have strong homing capabilities or travel instantly. While the weapons are often the mage class's strong point, they are generally harder to craft than other weapons, requiring a lot more obscure resources rather than things you would already have. While the magic class may not be the strongest, it has some of my favorite weapons, making it a very enjoyable class to play. This class is perfect if you want an enjoyable challenge, though it does take a lot more of your focus to manage your mana effectively. Overall, I'd rate the mage class a 6 out of 10 for strength, an 8 out of 10 for difficulty, and a 9 out of 10 for enjoyment. Calamity's ranger class is different from other classes thanks to the ammo mechanic being an extra factor for combat. Constantly refilling your ammo can often be a frustrating task as it usually runs out extremely fast. While it can be annoying, it can also be very good for additional damage if you use the right ammos. The ranger class isn't widely known for its defense, usually placing 2nd or 3rd just behind melee, which is decent. The class does not promise good damage though, generally placing last to 2nd last, usually behind mage, so not the greatest class for damage. However, a strong point for rangers is, well, the range. While it may not be the best for damage, due to its range, you can constantly hit bosses from almost anywhere, though it does take some focus and skill to track the boss. A mod that makes this easier is called Boss Cursor, making it easy to find and hit bosses even when they're off your screen. The class is overall pretty fun to play, though constantly crafting ammo can be annoying. This class is the perfect class to play with your friends, because you can try and stay back while your friends tank to maximize damage. Overall, I'd rate the ranger class a 5 out of 10 for strength, 6 out of 10 for difficulty, and a 7 out of 10 for enjoyment. Calamity Summoner class is known for its low defense but insane damage. It utilizes whips, summons, and sentries to maximize DPS. Though, due to the low defense, getting hit a couple times can make the difference between winning and losing a fight. The Summoner class's defense usually stays around the 4th to last place compared to other classes. However, Summoner's damage is leagues above other classes at every stage of the game, other than the endgame where Rogue pulls ahead. The strong point of the Summoner class is after Moonlord, due to Calamity not adding any post-Moonlord whips. While this might seem like a bad thing, it means you can fully focus on dodging and you don't have to focus on aiming your whip. Summoner not requiring much focus makes it a very easy class to play and is also a very fun class due to the cool weapons and easy progression. This class is perfect to play in any situation due to the amount of changes Calamity made to the class, greatly increasing its strength from the base game. Overall, I'd rate this class a 10 out of 10 for strength, a 5 out of 10 for difficulty, and an 8 out of 10 for enjoyment. Calamity's Rogue class is known for being one of the more challenging classes to play, purely due to the amount of things you need to focus on when fighting bosses, with the addition of the stealth meter. This stealth meter is a bar that you can charge up faster by standing still. When the bar is at full charge, you can deal a stealth strike. This is a special attack that changes its ability depending on what weapon you are using. The Rogue class is also the only class added to the base game by Calamity, meaning there are no vanilla weapons in Rogue progression. When comparing the defense of the Rogue class, it is generally placed around the 3rd or 4th place, usually just behind Melee or Ranger, though its defense changes a lot throughout the game. As for its damage, it's nothing special, generally placing 2nd or 3rd, usually just behind Summoner. Though, a very strong point for the Rogue class is the endgame. With weapons like the Scarlet Devil and the Nanoback Reaper, the Rogue class's damage is leagues above other classes in that stage of the game, though its defense is fairly low due to the Demon Shade armor not having the ability to stealth strike. Another strength that I noticed from my experience is that almost every weapon has good multi-target damage, making this class perfect for worm bosses. Due to the addition of the stealth meter, it requires a lot of focus and skill to know when to stand still and when to dodge, while always paying attention to your stealth meter and using it right when it fills up to maximize damage. I think the Rogue class is decently fun and is a perfect class to play if you want the full Calamity experience. Overall, I'd rate this class a 6 out of 10 for strength, a 10 out of 10 for difficulty, and a 4 out of 10 for enjoyment. After comparing all the classes, I think it's pretty fair to say that Summoner is the best, due to how much pure damage it can output. Some people may disagree because Summoner is widely known for being the worst class in vanilla Terraria, though Calamity really makes the class shine throughout the game. While the enjoyment scale is mostly my personal preference, I think most people would agree that the Mage class has the coolest weapons and items if you're looking for a fun time. As for difficulty, most people would agree that Rogue is the most difficult, due to the stealth mechanic being another thing you have to focus on in a boss fight, on top of health, dodging, aiming, and your rage and adrenaline meters. Though in my opinion, Melee is the easiest and most straightforward class thanks to the high defense, making it the best option if you are a new or returning player. I hope this video helped you get some insight on the strengths and weaknesses of every class, and helped you decide what class is the best for your next playthrough. Please do consider subscribing if this video was useful to you at all. Bye bye.